Good evening, all you listening out there. We've got, at least almost 2 dozen of you or more. Oh, it looks like over 2 dozen so far. Welcome to the program. I am Tom Connors. I got a few people joining now. We're going to have some more rotating in and out as the, hour or two goes through. We're going to talk about Halloween Ends. We got Deleted Scenes, aka Steven. You might recognize him from the mod. Or from his being a mod for Midnight's Edge, but he's been on other streams as well. So, hello, Steven.
Hello, Tom, and also hello, Greg. Yes, as
Hello.
most of you might remember, around this time last year, I was on the review roundtable for Halloween Kills.
That's right.
And
I missed out on that one.
Oh, that was a fun one. It was lively, that's for sure.
And yes, some of you may already recognize Greg, aka Fanzine, from 4K for You, or his own channel, of course. And yeah, welcome to Midnight's Edge After Dark once again, Greg. We're glad to have you for a little bit to talk about Halloween Ends.
Yes,
Welcome.
I'm glad to be here. Yeah, excited to get into this.
Yeah, we're not going to waste too much time because you don't have much time. You got to get up early in the morning. So we'll jump to you first. First, just give us kind of how you felt about 2018, Halloween Kills, and then jump into how you feel about this one. And we won't interrupt you, so we'll take our turn after you get a chance to speak. So go ahead.
Okay, I actually liked 2018. I thought 2018 was a pretty decent movie. It wasn't as good as H2O, but I thought, you know what? Hey, I could get with this new trilogy. Halloween Kills. It was a mixed bag for me. I've grown to like it a little bit since my first watch. I mean, I actually enjoyed it the first time around, but I have problems with it. But it feels like a Halloween movie. It feels like a Halloween sequel. Halloween Ends, however, I hated this movie. I'll probably be laughing a lot because I'm tired. Plus, it was so bad in some parts, and I don't know how far you in the spoilers you want me to go right off the bat here.
We're gonna do spoilers, so go right ahead since you're gonna you don't have much time with us, but yeah.
Corey Cunningham. Yeah, it's his movie. He's pretty much the star of the movie. That kid playing him is an all right actor. Evil has now become a virus that can spread from person to person, especially if that person is bullied or
I'm going to call him Patrick Dempsey Jr. So everybody's aware for the rest of the show.
I want to make this comparison because I actually filmed a review and it's going to be up tomorrow. To me, this is what it felt like. I'm sure other people won't feel like this, but to me, it felt like it was Scream meets Halloween. That Corey was sort of like a Scream killer, and that Allison had become Sidney Prescott. She felt very Sidney Prescott to me, like she had become this damaged person who everybody's looking at, and who ends up with this guy who finds a darkness and evil within him from what he's gone through. And then Michael Myers is somewhere in the background. And yeah, he can take on 30, 40 townspeople and kill them in one night after being shot multiple times, stabbed multiple times. And then 4 years later, after his wounds are healed, he can't do jack. He can barely move. So
as far as like half crippled for a part of the movie, and then he's fine.
Yeah, it's like make up your damn mind. Is he supernatural? Is he human? Is he crippled?
First, I'm like, okay, did he have a stroke or something? That would make sense, right? And like, I actually thought he was starting to have a heart attack or a stroke right after he killed the cop
that's
guy.
What I was thinking.
Yeah, I thought.
I'm like, is this how is this really how they're gonna end Michael Myers? Motherfucker dies of a stroke. Seriously.
It was like, what the fuck is going on in this movie?
Yeah, I said that a lot, Greg. And
me too.
Real quick, I don't know if you agree with this because I said this to Steven before the show. I'm like, the Corey character was interesting because I give them credit and props for trying to do something a little bit different and almost going to the point where a lot of these movies always hint that they're going to go, but they never actually go. And you're right. Like, at the same time, it does have a lot of Scream echoes into it, which I don't mind that part because of the whole fact of that Halloween inspired Scream. So so much. Whatever. I don't give a shit about that.
But also, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, they should have had it set up though to where this kid is like under suspicion of things that Michael is doing, and he should have been innocent the whole time. Because like the setup to me, for those who don't know, real quick, like in the opening credits of the film, it's the year after the last film, and the whole town is still kind of reeling and dealing with everything from 2018. And the kid Corey, who's the main character, as Greg is saying, he's not wrong, is babysitting this young kid, and this kid gets the harebrained idea to lock him in a room to scare him. And as Corey busts out of the door, he accidentally knocks the kid over the stairway railing, and the kid cracks his neck and dies. So he went, I don't know if he went to prison at all. But it doesn't seem like he did. It sounds like, because they probably believed his story and all that kind of business. But the point being, he's kind of branded in the town, right? So, like, if you were going to do this to this kid, like, I think it'd have been more therapeutic for Lori and her daughter to be able to defend this kid, especially when everybody's trying to make him out to be like the next Michael Myers, and kind of give them a little bit more reason to be there. Because otherwise, they really kind of give this half-ass harebrained idea of scheme of why they're still there. And I didn't mind that at first at first, but I would have been like, it would have made sense if it was somewhere else. Yeah. Like Lori and her granddaughter would not stay in Haddonfield, regardless of the half-ass excuse they give.
Exactly. Why would
Go ahead, Greg. I don't know if you agree with that, if that would have been a much better take on this or not.
Because there's nothing about Corey in the beginning of the movie that screams Michael Myers-esque, because they keep saying, I see Michael in him. I see Michael in him. Corey did deserve better, because the kid...
This movie turned into Rob Zombie's Halloween is the problem.
That's what I was about to say, because I put this movie right in there with Rob Zombie's 1 and 2. I do. I think this is right up there with those two movies. But the kid
I haven't decided if it's that bad yet, but yeah, I understand where you're coming from. Sorry.
Yeah, I get it. But the kid is literally like the whole town picks on this kid. It was a complete accident. Like with Michael Myers himself, he was just this normal, average little boy who just, for whatever reason, he grabbed a knife and he killed his sister. And
no one knows why. Never had a reason.
Never had a reason. He was just like this. He was, as they mentioned, and as it's been John Carpenter, he's the essence, the embodiment of evil, the shape. That's why he's called the shape of evil. And there's no rhyme or reason to him, at least within the first two movies before they tried to explain him. And to say that like Corey has that in him, I didn't see it. At all until they kind of like half-assed. Michael grabs him and then looks into his eyes, and like they have some kind of psychic connection. I don't know if that was Michael seeing what Corey was seeing. I don't know.
They set it up that Lori, because everybody's like, oh, we see Michael's eyes, and even the dad of the kid is like, that's not the same kid that showed up that night to babysit. They're setting this whole thing up with the whole it's in the eyes thing, like with the first film with Loomis. And I think the writers are trying to be fucking clever, because John Carpenter always kind of explained this whole thing of, he kind of got the idea for Michael Myers when he went to visit something he was doing in school or something like that, or something for research. And he went to visit an insane asylum, and there was a catatonic kid there who had a schizophrenic stare. So like that just unsettled him. And he always thought of that when he wrote Michael Myers or tried to shoot Michael Myers. And that's the whole thing for, him having the scene with the kid just sitting in the chair and stuff. It's supposed to be indicative of that or whatever. So I'm sure that the writers like, oh, we're going to be all clever and add that to the thing. It's just, to me, it went in the territory of like Halloween 5 and 6 at that point.
Even like, I don't know, man. Honestly didn't feel like a Halloween movie to me at all.
It has that issue.
Yeah, it did not feel like, I didn't even feel Halloween.
Till the last half hour anyway.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. The only thing that saves this fucking movie, I don't know if you agree with me or not, and I've given away a lot of my feelings on it already, but just because we're having a conversation about it. But like, if it wasn't for the end of this movie, I don't think I would be like right in the same boat where you're at right now. Like, fuck this movie shouldn't exist. But at the same time, before you got in here, and this is what I was talking about, I'll just say it on the show, since I'll say it now before you leave. like I told Steven, I'm like, they should have just took the last 30 minutes of this and put it on the end of Halloween Kills. Should have just been two movies, not a fucking trilogy. And that way you have a trilogy with Halloween 2 being 2018, and then Halloween Ends should have just ended with right after her daughter gets killed, she drops the fucking phone, picks up the knife, and those two go and fight each other to death. That's what everybody wants to fucking see anyway.
Exactly.
And then you can have the big funeral scene like they did at the end of this movie, and that I liked. But like the first hour and 40 minutes of this movie, or whatever it is, 20 minutes, it's almost a 2-hour fucking movie.
It is. It's legitimately, anyway, like somebody said, it's a romantic movie. It's a romance story for the first hour, 15 minutes of it. You could chop off all of that and just get to the kitchen fight scene, and that's the end of Halloween, David Gordon Green's Halloween trilogy. Because the first hour and 15 minutes is not Halloween. It almost feels like a different timeline.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I was watching there. Now, Steven, I know you've been quiet now, but I don't know if you agree or disagree with anything we're saying here. But yeah, you sounded like you were kind of in the same boat.
I am up to a certain point. Now, I have always said that. Well, I mean, everybody who watches the Halloween movies knows that it's essentially a choose your own adventure at this point.
Yeah, that's what I've been calling it. Yeah,
and this movie does not help that matter out at all. It does feel like it's a different movie, and as I said when we were in the green room, this should have been the second movie. If they were going to set up Corey as the villain, or one of the villains, I should say, he needed to be in the second film.
Yeah, because he just pops out of nowhere all of a sudden.
Yeah. And,
yeah, that's what I said to Steven too. I agree. If they were going to go this route, then the third film would have made more sense.
On his own as a character, I like him, but he belongs in it like his own movie. Like if they had gone the anthology route with the Halloween films and made him a character in an anthology film, I would have been totally down with that. But now
he really is like a Norman Bates though character. That's the problem you have.
He is.
So I said it's like what's Norman Bates Psycho inspired Halloween inspired Scream. It's very much like they're trying to meld those worlds into one movie. That's what it felt like to me. And even the song Don't Fear the Reaper, which is in Halloween 1, which is also the ending song of Scream 1, is now the ending song of Halloween Ends. So it's like all kind of mixed together.
Well, I mean, how many references to the Halloween movies are in the Scream films? Multiple. Yeah. I mean, they are almost symbiotic at this point.
Mm-hmm.
This didn't feel like a Scream movie to me, though.
No, it didn't feel like a Scream movie. It felt like they were trying to make Corey felt like he could have been a Scream villain. And Allison felt like she was trying to be Sidney-esque. And then you had the whole Laurie Strode and then Michael Myers, who did absolutely nothing.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Michael Myers makes no fucking sense in this movie.
Exactly.
Well, he's there to fight Laurie. Period.
I get the idea. At first I was like, okay, so he had a stroke or something. That would actually had made kind of sense. Like why he's just kind of laying around and kind of just chilling for a while. And I didn't mind at first this whole thing of Corey kind of feeding him victims. At first I thought that was kind of interesting, but then I'm like, at the same time, I'm like, you're doing this character very dirty. Because setting him up with the story that you set him up as, it's tragic at the end, but that's not how you set up somebody who turns into Michael Myers or a new Michael Myers, right?
Yeah.
You have, I mean, I get where they're going with it, and I like part of it, but like, there was too much of the Rob Zombie shit in there. Like with his mom being like the psycho mom.
Yeah.
And then you're right, with the whole Scream thing, with the boyfriend-girlfriend thing, with those two getting together, and just
when they got to the sequences in the sewer where Michael's been hanging out all this time, the first thought that popped into my head was Rob Zombie's Alien versus Predator Requiem. because that's what it felt like, those scenes, and they're the low point of the movie for me. And this is a very schizophrenic movie because there are parts of it that I think work. But as far as this particular trilogy is concerned, it doesn't work within the trilogy.
No,
if you follow me,
No, and I think there's a reason for that. Go ahead, sorry, Steven.
There are things on their own that work. Like I said, if this were an anthology film, if they had gone the anthology route and had this Corey Cunningham character in there, great, go for it. But when you have a trilogy where you've already had 2 films of setup, and then you go entirely in this different direction for whatever reason they decided to go, on the whole, it does not work. Now, maybe I'm giving this movie a bit of a pass because I hated Halloween Kills so much. But Michael was great in that movie, but he was surrounded by a lot of stupid. That's in one line. That's how I felt about the previous movie. But and to answer Mecca J, would you say this trilogy is disconnected? Yeah, it is, because you have 2 movies of setup, and then the third movie is something else.
Well, and I think that's because this is not what they had originally intended it to be.
No, clearly not.
Because the original idea was that all 3 films were supposed to be on the same night. As we know from the Halloween Kills extended cut, she heads out with the knife in her hand, walking down the hallway. She says she's going to come get Michael. So clearly it's meant to be their final showdown. And that's where I'm sitting here going, at this point, is there enough for a third film? I think they ran into the same goddamn wall, guys.
They did. I
really do. And I think they sat there and they're like, well, shit, we should have made this the end of this movie, but we can't not make another movie, and there's no way we're not going to, because this thing's going to make a shit ton of money. So they basically had to create this whole other fucking thing, and that's why there's only basically a half hour of the movie that is really truly a sequel to the other films, because that's all it really had for story.
Yeah, it's like he kills all those fucking town people, he kills her daughter, stands in the window, and then all of a sudden they destroyed his house and he disappeared. So you mean to tell me that he spent the whole second Halloween Kills trying to get back to his house just to stand in a spot to look out the window for it to be demolished and him to run away for 4 years?
Yeah, and that's where it doesn't make any goddamn sense to me.
No.
And there's nothing in this film that constitutes it having a time jump outside of Corey's story, because otherwise you'd be like, why the fuck would, because like you said, Steven, you haven't set Corey's story up yet.
Exactly.
And there's no place for it in the story if you're doing it in the same night, and Michael is still the main antagonist, right? Like, that was the only thing I really hated about the 2018 movies, when the fucking doctor got this whole idea of putting the mask on and all that kind of shit. But the only reason I accepted it is because later on is what they told Lori, and that was, no, the doctor was the one who brought Michael there. He wasn't headed to your house. He didn't give a fuck about you. Because I'm like, thank you, finally. That's the whole reason to constitute having these films, but they still had to have an ending. And I agree with you, Steven, if they were going to set up this ongoing thing with Corey, it should have been the second film, and they should have killed Michael, and then when they went back, all of a sudden, oh shit, Corey's gone. Dun, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
That's the way it should have ended, however, but that's not what happened. In this case, they fucked it up. They pooched this shit.
Oh, they
big time. They fumbled it. I gave them credit for Halloween Kills because I stuck up for it. I'm like, look, I get why everybody hates it, but I love it for all the reasons people hate it, because it is a fucking sequel to a slasher film. It is exactly what it is. It's every slasher film sequel you've ever seen. In fact, it rips off its own sequel.
Exactly.
It's Halloween 2 Ray-Do.
It is.
Like,
and it's even got stuff from like Halloween 4 too, with the whole people riding against Michael Myers, where they're searching, because you're not wrong.
It is Halloween 2 and 4 remade. Yeah.
2 and 4. It is, as John Carpenter put it, the ultimate slasher, because it takes all those cheesy bad slasher-esque moments from other, and it is one, and that's one kind of reason why I can enjoy Halloween Kills, and plus it still fits into the same vein as 2018.
It's a Big Mac, right? You know it's not good for you, but you love how it tastes.
Exactly. It's a really cheesy bad movie, but it's good.
You know what to expect, right? You know what a Big Mac tastes like. Exactly.
That's what this movie is for me. It's a Big Mac and fries.
This to me,
this one, Halloween Ends. Seriously, Steven?
That's the whole trilogy, really.
Okay, well, you're counting it as a trilogy. I have a problem counting this as a trilogy in a sense that this movie does not feel like this was what it was meant to be as the trilogy.
It feels like a whole nother timeline.
In comparison to how I felt about the previous movie, and maybe I'm being too hard on it and I need to go see it again or something. I don't know.
Well, I just watched Halloween Kills last night.
I got wrapped up in Corey's story. I go, I like this. They just did it in the wrong film. They did it in the wrong order.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
where I have a schizophrenic issue with this film too, because I do like a lot of the things they did. I like that they took some chances, but I agree with you, Steven. This is not something you do in a third act of a play.
No.
No.
All right. Remember when we did the script reading for Batman 1983?
Yeah.
The Mankiewicz script, and they shoehorned Robin into the third act. I should know because I played Robin. That's what they did here. They took Robin, aka Corey, and they shoehorned him into the third act.
They did.
They took what could have been, and I think up to a point is a good villain. They just needed to set this movie up. This needed, this needed to be the second film. This is what Halloween Kills needed to be.
I see where you're coming from on that, and I agree to your point.
Went off, and the other good thing is at least we didn't have everybody chanting "Evil dies tonight" 100 times.
See, and I think that's hilarious.
That's kind of grown on me.
That's like a part of the whole horror movie game, right? Like I loved it when people were making fun of that in the last movie. I'm like, you guys realize that if you watch all these horror movies, that shit is in every one of these horror movies. It's no different than whatever you do, don't fall asleep. You're all doomed. It's the same.
Yeah.
I'll be right back.
That's really my main point is that these three films, well, really the last two, for me, because I loved the 2018, except for the subplot with the doctor. The rest of it, I was perfectly fine with.
I forgave that more during Halloween Kills, and that's my other issue I have with Halloween Kills now is you guys who are complaining about the Evil Dies Tonight thing, you were right about it not really paying off because Evil didn't die tonight.
No.
It took 4 fucking years to die.
Yeah. I just can't get over the fact that he slaughters half the freaking town after they beat the crap out of him, stab him, and all this. He gets up, slaughters Laurie's daughter, then he can't move 4 years later.
I will say this.
Look, it took the shit right out of me.
Well, and that's where I said it. I could have understood him having like a stroke or something, and that kind of puts you to the point where he is more vulnerable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like with the Corey thing, they should have stopped after like the first or second victim that Michael took, and they should have never had Corey draw blood.
Exactly.
Right? It should have always been that line. And Corey knowing that this line has now been drawn, but he also stirs Michael back up, right? Like that's kind of what it should have been. And then that way you can have the final confrontation. And then like Steven's saying, you leave it open for a fourth film or moving down the series where Corey takes the mask at the end and just kind of, puts it in his jacket and kind of leaving it ambiguous, but it is also kind of a callback to earlier Halloween films and a little bit of Tommy Jarvis and Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
But at least this time you're actually setting it up to where it's going to go there because you kind of know that he's just that one step away, but they kind of went and jumped the shark already with it, setting you up for this whole idea of, okay, of course Laurie's going to figure it out right away. And I didn't hate all that stuff either. But he is not the same kind of killer as Michael Myers, and that's the problem.
That is the problem. And matter of fact, he's not even a killer at all until he gets thrown into the off the bridge and he meets Michael, and then whatever
that's a
transference
metaphorical
happens.
thing. It's a metaphorical thing, right? It's the hero's journey in reverse, right?
Exactly.
The hero usually goes through some sort of test where they go into and almost literally into some underground hell. And Rambo has it, Star Wars has it with Empire Strikes Back when Luke goes down into the cave.
Yep.
It's a typical thing that's a trope in hero journeys. So I seen where they were going with this. I'm like, you fuckers. I'm like, you're really going to do the hero's journey with a new Michael Myers. And the moment he let the kid go, I knew that's what was going to happen. So this movie was predictable in that sense. So I had a problem with it, just the tone of it. Right. And you can't introduce this idea out of nowhere in a third film. And I know we're repeating ourselves with that, but at the same time, I like that they tried something different. I like that it wasn't just another sequel, but I'm still like sitting here watching it going, is this really been worth the last 3 movies? No, not really. It's not. I have to say at the end of the day, it's not.
Personally, as because I have a love-hate relationship with Kills, but I can watch it. I enjoy it. Like you said, it's like a Big Mac. You know it's bad for you, but you can watch it. It really should have ended at 2018 when she had him down in their cage and the house was on fire. Yeah. That's where it should have ended. That's where it should have ended.
It should have ended at H2O.
Well,
I agree. That's my trilogy. I'm with Steven.
Yeah.
My trilogy's 1, 2, and H2O. As much as Carpenter dislikes 2.
My preferred trilogy is 1, 2, and H2O. And then my second favorite timeline, which I put right up there with it, is 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. So, even though those movies are, 5 and them get really bad, but still, they're not as bad as this movie because this movie to me is like Scream 5. I'll never watch it again. I'll never watch it again.
Before we lose you, Greg, let's say some positives, okay?
Okay.
I will say this. I liked the last 30 minutes. I like that Michael got a funeral. I thought that was kind of clever the way they did it. I like their final confrontation once you get past the Corey shit. What else did I like? I know there's a couple other things I did like. I do like at the beginning, like I said, if it was set in some other town, I like this idea that Laurie finally, is kind of on this path of normalcy, but it is dependent on this replacement daughter being her granddaughter, right? Who's already got enough fucking issues from that night. That aspect of the movie, even though it didn't feel too Halloween-y, it kind of was a little reminiscent of H2O, so I didn't mind that at first. But then when we got into the love story is when it kind of derailed. I'm trying to think. There's some other things I did like about it. But go ahead, you guys. Maybe I'll think of some things I liked about it as you guys are going along. Steven, anything you can think of offhand real quick?
What did I like?
Go around Rosie here.
I like the actor who played Corey. I like the performances in this movie all around. Which was one of my issues with the previous movie. I thought everybody was just kind of a little too over the top. Here, I thought everybody, acting-wise, just did about as well as they could with what they had. So I like the actors. I don't find fault in anything that they did in this. I like where Laurie ends up at the end. Like Tom said, the quote unquote funeral scene. The kills in this are pretty good. I
like that they toned him down a little bit. He's not superhuman again like he was in the last 2 movies.
Yeah, but then that doesn't fit with what happened in the last movie, though.
Yeah, it's almost. Here's the weird thing. It's almost like they heard some of our complaints and they listened, but yeah, it's too late. But anyway, continue. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I like the kills in this, especially when they get to the DJ.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah,
I enjoyed that was Corey, but
yeah.
Even though that was Corey, I did enjoy that kill.
Yeah, and the thing was when it came to Corey's kills, you know, they were in a way justified. You know,
to a point, and that's
to a point.
That's so that's where I said it would have been kind of more interesting at first if like he started like feeding like whoever was fucking with him to Michael. You know what I mean? Instead of him actually doing the killing. And that's what got Michael's juices flowing again, you know, kind of thing. And that's kind of what they did anyway. But they did it in a Martha kind of way, unfortunately. But continue, Steven. And unless Greg has got some things you can think of right quick.
That I liked.
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah.
I did like the fight between Michael and Jamie Lee Curtis at the end. I enjoyed that. I will say about the funeral thing. I know we're trying to do things. I like what they did with him, how they disposed of him. I just didn't like how they like when they brought him out of the house and they was like, we do this tonight, and then like how did everybody in the town know as they was coming down? They're just like all lined up. I thought that was kind of weird, but no, I like the fight. I like that. I did like that DJ kill. I'm trying to think because I really did not like this movie. I really hated it.
I know you didn't. It's so stretching.
I'm trying to think about it.
They did make the daughter a little bit more likable. I wouldn't say likable, but
that's what I said. She came off a little bit like Sydney a little bit, but a little more likable.
It wasn't woke. This is the least woke of all the films.
I liked the supermarket scene between Jamie Lee Curtis and the sheriff.
Will Patton and her should be together. That's the big thing I think with the problem with this movie is, and that's where her, because that's another thing I think where I have a problem with the movie is all of a sudden they have this sudden shift because it's Laurie who sets them two up in the first place, and they act appropriately to her all of a sudden kind of having an issue with him.
Yeah.
Like, because her just saying, oh, I just saw it in his fucking eyes. Yeah. You know, like that is the dumbest shit ever. What it should have been is she is blinded by the fact that her and Will Patton have been so happy for the last 4 years, and her granddaughter has, you know, progressed well in the last 4 years, that she has blinded herself to this guy. And that's where, you know, you kind of have this will he or not kind of thing set up for the fourth film, if there's ever going to be another one. Yeah. Because I think this is the best. Because at this point, what are you going to do with Michael? He's so fucking old. Like, I actually thought he had a fuking, because the way he's holding his arm and shit, it's like he had a stroke, dude. He's like,
that's what it looked like. Yeah. I've seen strokes. Now I have physically.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to be mean, but like he's all literally like his head's like this and his arms up here like this. That's kind of the way. Yeah. The effect if you have a stroke, especially on a certain society, if he's like say in this case it would have been the left side of his body would have had a stroke. That would have made sense at his age and the shit that he just did, and he got the crap beat out of him. I mean, and that at that point you're still realizing, oh yeah, Michael is only human. No matter what they built up in the first two movies. But that's the thing is I did like that there's that third act of this film. I like it. Should have been the end of the last movie though.
It really should have.
There were so many things that could have been so much better if they were just in a different order.
Yeah.
It's just all over the place, man.
There's a good trilogy or quadrilogy if you want to count it as the
that's the problem I have too, and that's why I said they should have just made two movies. But
yeah,
like The Hobbit, they stretched it out far too much. The
Hobbit was way more so.
Yeah.
So it's like I have such a. I know I'm sounding like a fucking schizophrenic right now because there are things that I like and things that I don't. But if people, I know there are people in chat who are just lambasting this movie, and I'm totally fine with that. And Greg doesn't like it.
I don't blame him.
And I don't blame you for that at all. It's nowhere near the best one. That's still Carpenter, and Carpenter can't be beat.
It's not hating on its audience though either. That's the thing. And I'm not making excuses for it. It's not woke. It's not hating on the audience. It's trying to do something different.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'll give them props for that. But at the same time, you know what the problem is, and that is they sat down and like, fuck, we don't have
2 hours of story anymore, because what do we have left? She's got to go after him, and that's it.
Yeah,
that's all that's left. What are you going to do from there? Do you have Laurie get killed and you just have Michael continue on? Well, the motherfucker is older than dirt. Like, at this point, that's the problem you have. Because he's 20 years, almost 20 years older than fucking
she is.
Laurie Strode's supposed to be, right? Like 15 years older, but yes.
Yeah.
You know, that was the thing that I realized watching this movie. I have been watching these two characters.
Or not 15 years, 5 years older. I mean, sorry. Yeah, my math is going backwards. Yeah. I knew what I meant.
You know, I've been watching these two. We've been watching these two characters, you and me, Tom, for
that's just 40 fucking years.
you know, it's just like, let them fight.
And that's why I didn't mind.
And that's what we missed, is that H2O moment, right? The Michael moment. Yeah. And that's what we needed at the end of Halloween Kills, right after he kills her daughter. It's like, that's when we needed it. That's when that moment needs to come in. That's when she's like, I don't give a fuck. It don't matter if it kills her too. That would have been a glorious fucking ending. We already know she's damaged. We know he's damaged. They go into that final fucking fight in the Myers goddamn house. You got the town burning the house down from the outside in. They're in the inside fighting. Glorious fucking ending to both of them.
Exactly.
And that's another thing. The trailer keeps playing on the app. And it's like, half this fucking trailer ain't in the movie again, like Halloween Kills.
The trailer is the biggest lie that you will ever see for this
trailer
movie.
is totally misleading in this film, because that's the whole thing. I'm like, where's the line where she says, maybe I have to die for him to die? And all that shit, yeah.
And they don't even do the whole scene again where like he stands, where they show her, she's crying against the wall, and then Michael stands up, put the mask on like in the original movie, which is in the trailer. That's not in the movie at all. So I really feel bad for people who saw this trailer and went into this movie thinking, oh shit, this is going to go down. And then they get Corey and Allison in a love story for an hour and a half as he slowly descends into madness.
I mean, I like the ending, but it's not the ending. It's not the pumped up ending we could have gotten.
No.
Granted, you can't repeat H2O. I get that. But there's still, that's where you have the blaze of glory ending, right?
Yeah.
Like, fucking A. Laurie's going down too, both of them. And then it's kind of left ambiguous from there, Very much. And at that point, I don't know why they just didn't kind of detour from there and make Laurie into the Dr. Loomis character anyway. It makes more sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's something you could have really had her be doing, is like, I know that they were trying to have her move on with her life and everything, but she could have been like searching for Michael all these years, like Dr. Loomis, like, following leads and, trying to, keep Allison happy, but not let her. It's all kinds of things could have been done with this. I just really did not like this movie. And never would I fault anybody that did like the movie. So it's like, Steven, that's okay. I mean, yeah, you like what you like. I'm cool with that. I'm just.
The other weird thing is, it doesn't feel like. Well, he's never really said he actually liked it. Yeah. But the other weird thing is it doesn't feel like this movie was shot back to back with the other film, which it kind of was, in comparison to the second film, which actually does feel like it was almost shot back to back with 2018.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. So that's the other thing. It's like, how the fuck do you jump this goddamn much? And I'm not convinced that a lot of maybe they did shoot a lot of Halloween Kills the same time. And Snowdub's on his way, so we're going to get a fresh perspective here in a moment. And I don't know how much longer you got with us, Greg, because I know you got to be up here in a couple hours.
I can do work, 5 more minutes.
I do appreciate your time, man. No, because if somebody of a lot of the people I know, you're one that I know that I respect your opinion on things. And
I appreciate
I'm not surprised you hate this, man. And it's sad because it could have been something fun.
It could have been. It could have been in. One of my poor younger brothers just watched it. He texted me and he was like, "Don't watch Halloween. It's really bad. I did not
too
like
late.
It." Yeah, and I was like, "Too late. I already watched it." And he's like, "I commented on something and people reamed me." And I was like, "Don't worry about that, dude. Most people are not really liking this movie," because he gets all, he gets upset when if like that. But I'm like, dude, don't worry about it. I believe this. Well, we lost Steven.
Yeah, he's having a connection issue. He should be back. Here he is.
There you go. Hey, Steven. I believe it's going to be a very divisive film. I believe that.
I don't know if it'll be as divisive as Kills was, but maybe.
No, I think it'll be a little more hated than. I mean, I definitely.
So I think the consensus will be more with the hated side.
I did see somebody say, if you complain about a certain Friday the 13th film and then say you like Halloween Ends, I hope you stub your toe and it hurts really, really bad.
You know, as somebody who's come to like Halloween 5 a little more over the years, I like that. That's good. Because I'm sure that's what he's referring to.
Yeah, Friday the 13th part 5.
Or maybe even Jason Goes to Hell if you're really being a snobbish type of person.
But if you liked it, oh, that's awesome. I'm glad you guys liked it because, as like Tom said, it's not woke. It doesn't talk down to the audience. It does go for a big swing. It just doesn't connect.
For you, it's a miss, though. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a miss for me. I did not like it. I did not, much like I did not. We've talked it to death. Scream 5.
Yeah.
I didn't like Scream 5. I don't like Halloween Ends. Those are two movies. Even as a completist, much like you, Tom, I don't think I can buy or watch those movies ever again. I just really don't think I can.
Personally, it's as bad as Scream 5. I'm not there yet. But here's the thing: Halloween Kills, I didn't like nearly as much on the rewatch. I mean, it's all right still, but it was just I was kind of feeling the fatigue of it. But here's Snowdub. How you doing, bud?
Hey, sorry I'm late. I guess I was
it's all right.
A little longer behind you than I thought I was, but
guess so.
Well, right off the bat, I'll say I enjoyed the last 20-30 minutes of the movie.
I think that's what everybody is saying.
Yeah, that was the best part.
Did you want to hang around for a few more minutes, Greg, or did you have to head out before we let Snow dig in?
I got about like 3 or 4 minutes I could do.
All right, well, we'll let you dig in a little bit, Snow, here. First of all, we've just been kind of giving everybody our feelings on the first two films, and then what we liked, didn't like, and we've been just kind of waxing about the whole thing for about an hour now.
Yeah, no, I know. I really love John Carpenter, and I love, all his movies. I love, what he created. And I was happy to hear that he was, involved at least somewhat creatively, of course, doing the music. So from that point, when I heard about this new franchise being done, I was excited for it. And the first one was decent. I even liked the last one. Yeah, I think me and Tom reviewed that one right after it premiered about a year ago now. Yep. And I haven't watched it a second time, Tom, but that first time I enjoyed it, but not enough to like, oh man, I got to watch it again.
Yeah. And
then this one, I'm still, I feel like there's two different movies that was going on.
Exactly.
I feel like we're going to have the same conversation with you we just had, but yeah, continue, my friend.
Well, I think we were watching The Dating Game there for a while, and I was like, "Is this a romantic? Is this a romantic thriller?" At first, and then I was like, "Okay." So
John Hughes presents Halloween,
right? And I really wanted to understand why this Corey character was so important, and even by the end, I really didn't see why he was even involved, except just to be kind of like a puppet of Michael. So. I don't know.
We figured it out is because they didn't have a fucking enough to do another movie. That's why.
Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah. I think we figured it out. We're like, because if you guys remember, you guys do because we just talked about it, but like if you list those who are new listening and Snow, the original plan was that because if you see Halloween Kills the extended cut, she picks up the knife, tells Michael she's coming to get him. And that's where that shot of her heading down the hallway is. And it was supposed to pick up from there. But they changed their minds for whatever fucking reason. And now I think we know why. Because they're like, fuck, we don't have enough here for another movie. Like, once they get together and start fighting, that's 30, 40 minutes tops.
Yeah. And that's
what are you going to do?
Right.
So they had to come up with this whole other convoluted storyline. And that way they're like, well, we can jump it 4 years ahead that way. But anyway, continue, Snow.
Well, I love the last one because it really pulled from the old movie a lot. Like I think they even had like a flashback scene of Loomis, if I remember right. And so I was kind of waiting for more connection material, to our original movies and the original John Carpenter and the first Halloween that they did. And there just wasn't much there. Like contextually, it really felt like it was going off on some other weird path for about 90 minutes, and then it finally started coming full circle, and then it was like, oh, okay, this is where you're going with it. I originally thought that Michael needed this guy to bring him people to kill to like boost his powers. That was my initial thought process. I was like, is this like a supernatural thing where every time Michael kills somebody, he gets a little stronger? Because he seemed really weak, when he first found him down there in the sewers. And then, as he killed people, it seemed like he was getting stronger and stronger. And I'm like, okay, maybe he's charging him up, so to speak. But, then, of course, the storyline kind of veers off to he's more like an apprentice. And Michael's teaching him the ways, I guess, So I really was trying to understand where they were going with the Corey character. And by the end of it, I was just happy to see him die. It's like, that was fulfilling. That was fulfilling watching him get stab himself in the neck or whatever. But it's just like, all right. So all that build up for this guy, thinking he was like going to take over the franchise or some shit, it was all for naught. But then it really made me mad when the granddaughter runs in, starts crying and throwing a fit, and it's like, look how he's dressed. How do you not?
I know, that's another
and the
scene where
mask
it's
is
like,
right beside him.
it took her that long to figure it out. Like, seriously?
The mask is right beside
like
him.
even if Lori was a bit underhanded about the whole goddamn thing, she was still right. So it's like, bitch,
Right.
get over yourself. Like, what the fuck?
What the hell is he doing in your house, in the first place? I mean,
Yeah,
think about
exactly.
it.
Like, do you really think she did this whole thing, set it all up? Like, really? She'd go that far? Seriously?
Told him to dress up
Because
like
that's
Michael
where
and
I was
play
like,
the
oh
over
god,
for
is
tea.
this movie really gonna go there? And I'm glad that they had just like, it was only for like 5 minutes, and she goes and sees the radio station burning down and finally puts 2 and 2 together. It's like, yeah,
Right.
Dumb bitch. It's
Yeah, how dumb are you?
Wow. Talk about being dick drunk. But yeah, I was like, I was seriously thinking, what did she think? A grandma called him and said, dress up as Michael for me and come over and role play. I mean, why the hell would he suddenly be in her house?
Can you come look at my car? Make
I'm
sure you wear some
surprised that
overalls.
happened.
Right. Oil change. Late on
Come
Halloween.
change my oil, honey.
Let me use that dipstick of yours.
But I did like the little move that she did where she's playing. I thought she was actually committed suicide for just a second there. They got me.
I knew it was a pumpkin because I could see it on the wall,
Yeah,
but I'm like, I know what
yeah.
she was up to, and I'm like,
Yeah.
there's Lori, and that's where
Right.
the movie becomes a Halloween film, right?
Yeah.
And that's when she actually starts acting like Lori, because the whole
And then-
movie she
yeah.
doesn't act like Lori.
Right then it gets good. The movie.
Yeah.
finally
But it
gets
should have
good.
been Michael on the other side of that door. That's the problem.
Exactly. Yeah. And then when he does show up, he just basically gets his ass kicked. So
Gets
it's
his
like,
ass kicked, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. That's why this should have just been the last half hour of the last film.
Yeah.
Like,
It
I wouldn't
would've
have
made
cared if
much
it was a
more
2.5 hour Halloween movie. Give it to me. That's the end of the fucking series, the end of franchise. I would have loved then for them to have the whole, I don't know what kind of funeral you'd call that, but that's like a fuck you funeral. Like,
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
and I mean, I know what you're saying, Greg, but like in that last movie, they had a alert thing go out, and everybody in the town all of a sudden knew about Michael Myers. Remember?
Yeah,
So
but they
I'm
didn't-
not like surprised.
They
that
didn't do that in this one. Like, it's just like they start rolling down the street and
they didn't
everybody's
show
there.
it, but like
Yeah.
it was kind of like
It was
one of
implied.
those. It was kind of like one of those things where that was like the least of the issue at that point. To me, it was just the symbolism of the whole thing I was fine with, but like at that point, you're just like, it's too little, too late. Anyway, this should have been the last movie. So
Yeah. But I do got to go. And
all right, well, thank you,
yeah.
Greg, for being here, buddy. And do check out Fanzine. That's the channel where you'll find Greg. It's spelt just like it is right there on the screen.
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm sure one of the mods can help us by throwing it in the chat. And I see Justin Proper.
Yeah, he's been saying he hates it. I'm with you, man. I
All
hated
right,
this
let's
movie.
bring him in.
And
let's
as I
bring him
go,
in.
I just want to say I thought about one more thing that I liked.
Yeah.
I liked the flashbacks to the first movie. And when I was but I gotta go. I'll see you guys later.
Take care.
Steven. Sorry, Justin, I won't get to talk with you on this, but thanks, Tom. I'll see you guys
On
later.
that note,
Bye.
I will say I did like the last few shots of the movie as kind of homage to the original film, where it shows everything being peaceful and calm in her house. Like, to me, that was a symbolic, nice ending. It's a callback to the original film, but for every little bit of that, there's 100 other things that are wrong with this movie. That's the thing. And I'm going to send you the link here, Justin, because I know you want to rant about it a little bit, buddy.
Yeah, that last 30 minutes was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I was watching it with the Snow Kid. He's 12. He loved it. He thought it was fantastic, and he was screaming out all his different karma and possible storyline ideas where he thought it was going, and then he was all, well, maybe they'll do like Jason 9, and he'll come back again in spirit form and all this stuff. And I'm just like, I think it's over, son. I think the meat grinder was pretty much the end of Michael, but you never know. But I do think this is the end of the Laurie Strode story, so to speak. But I think we'll have another Michael Myers movie eventually. The mask will be donned again. There's no way they can leave this franchise alone because it makes money still, obviously.
If I could answer something that was a question that was asked in the chat real quick. Hi, Justin. There was a question for me in the chat of, do I think they should continue the Halloween films as an anthology series? I don't know what the audience interest in that would be. I think the ship has sailed on doing an anthology type of series. That's why I brought it up earlier, that the whole Corey storyline felt like that should have been an anthology film. But, I think the ship has sailed on that. I think after this, and I know Justin is ready to explode.
Yeah, he's shifting around. It's really loud, though. That's why I muted you, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh, was it? I'm sorry.
That's all right.
I just wanted to say real quick, if they ended the Halloween movies right here, I think that would probably be for the best.
I think this is done for this time. The next time we see another Halloween movie, it'll be a remake.
Yeah.
So probably 10, 15 years down the road. But welcome, Justin Proper. You're seething. You're seething over there over this film. You are very angry, it seems.
I am not happy. Now Halloween Kills looks like a masterpiece.
I remember you were not a fan of the. Yeah, you weren't a fan of that.
Of the last 10 minutes? Yeah. No, I love it. It's my favorite of the three. This one has no heart, no soul. Even the last 30 minutes. Yeah, that was such an anticlimactic fight battle scene. Yeah, that was such bullshit. Nothing of value can be salvaged from this film. This sucks.
Damn, tell me how you really feel, Proper.
Yeah. Corey Cunningham. I'm sorry. No disrespect to the actor. I was on board with you for a second, but this is like a story that came out of fucking nowhere. And this is exactly what I was worried about. I didn't even know about this Corey Cunningham person until somebody had mentioned it, like a YouTuber had mentioned it. And I was like, no, it can't be real. Like, there's no way they're going to focus this whole movie on this douchebag.
Right. They needed to bring his name throughout all three movies if they were going to lead up to something like this.
Yeah. They just
thrown him in at the end. Yeah.
Yep. Danny McBride, fuck you. No, I'm kidding. No, the blame is not all on him, but I'm just
no, but I don't know if you heard, because I don't know how long you were in the chat, but like we said, like this is clearly should have been the last 30 minutes should have been the last 30 minutes of the last film. End of discussion. It would have been a trilogy then. This is not. Yeah, we agree with you on the whole Corey Cunningham thing. It's too much, bullshit. Too late. And if you were going to introduce it, it should have been in the second, if not first film. And kind of string it along in between and sprinkle it in there and kind of set it up for future, possibilities. But yeah, at this point, it was just kind of a waste of 90 minutes to get to, the main course of the movie, which again, and that's what we kind of all came to the consensus of. I don't know if Snow agrees, but we feel like the writers just sat down and they're like, fuck, we only got like 20, 30 minutes here of story to tell. And we got to fill a 2-hour movie. What do we do? Well, this is what we do. We make up this whole other fucking storyline that has nothing really to do with the end of the film. Because that's the thing, is once you look at the end of the movie, that didn't have shit all to do with the rest of the movie. It was just kind of like,
you know what? This almost makes Halloween Resurrection look like a masterpiece.
You're not wrong.
This is the wet fart of the Halloween franchise.
I don't hate it that much, but it's definitely in the lower end of the spectrum for me personally.
This is dog shit.
It's in the Rob Zombie region. That's where I compare it to.
No, Rob Zombie. Those movies had substance to it, even the
Not
white horse
really.
bullshit. Compare it to this garbage. I'm sorry. No.
Well, we
Just
had
no. You know what made me very mad about this is that you had a chance. You had a chance for one time to not kill the franchise again. All you had to do was stick the landing, and then it's like you kicked a field goal to win the game, and then it went all the way to the left side. Like why?
What did you want to see, Proper?
I wanted to see a fucking home run hit, like something, not this. No, they screwed it up again.
Did you have something in mind? Like, was there something that you were hoping to see? Just out of curiosity.
I didn't know what to expect, but then once I started hearing about, what was going to happen and that they were going to focus on somebody else as opposed to Michael Myers, like, and he's living in the sewers and crap like that. I'm like, there's no way that's real. That's made up fan fiction bullshit. That's Reddit rumors. I didn't have any expectations. I had none. But the fact that they went through with this and thought that, oh, this is a great idea, and I'm not opposed to this story in general because, at first I kind of identified with Corey in a certain aspect, but then he just had a 360, or did a 180. Way too quickly, and it just didn't feel natural the way they executed it. And I'm like, no, like, since when does Michael Myers have an apprentice? Fuck this.
Well, would you have liked it better had I had said, if they would have had it set up to where everybody kept thinking it was him and it was actually Michael the whole time, and then where he was innocent?
No. Not necessarily, but
was it Jason 4 or 5 when it wasn't the real Jason?
5. That's the comparisons that have been made, and
I'm getting the vibe of that from this. Yeah.
Well, at least with that movie, you kind of thought it was Jason for that movie, and then it was revealed, oh, it's actually not Jason the whole time, which is a better plot twist.
Kind of, but with them kind of trying to pass on the curse or whatever kind of thing. I get a little, because like if you go with Halloween Kills kind of being more of a sequel vibe of 2 and 4, like Greg had said before he left, I felt more of the vibe of like 5 and 6 in this one, along with the Rob Zombie Halloween mixed in.
The trilogy of the weird cult,
the Thorn trilogy, yeah.
Thorn trilogy, right? No, I got that too.
Such bullshit.
Well, here's the good news, folks. There was 8 years between the last Rob Zombie film and this remake trilogy. So that kind of gives me a little hope that maybe we'll get another remake that finally does it right in the next 10 years. But I don't think we'll ever see the Laurie Strode character again.
Not in that. Not as obviously Jamie Lee Curtis. No.
You could be wrong. I mean, she came back after H2O.
Yeah, but at this point, I think I think
this
is
it.
Yeah,
it's like Michael Jackson. This is it.
This is going to be a diminishing returns on this too, if you look at it, because I do not see this one doing nearly as well as the last one.
Yeah,
my biggest disappointment with this film, I think, was Anthony Michael Hall not showing up. Like I guess he died in the last one, but
They didn't show it on screen, but yeah, I was kind of disappointed.
I was hoping for his comeback to be like, kind of a mystery factor that you didn't know he was alive still.
I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody told me that the original inception for the third film was they were going to have all of the remaining living people, and that's why what's-her-face survived by hiding under the bridge, Lindsay. Mm-hmm. And why they did kill Tommy off screen is because he wasn't supposed to actually die. It was supposed to be the last survivors of 1978 going in to finish off Michael Myers. And
that would have been a good film.
And I think what happened was they just realized they only had like a 30-40 minute film with that. Because there was nowhere else to go. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we got this instead. So it is what it is. It feels like Halloween is a cursed franchise. you only get 1 or 2 good movies out of it at a time.
Right.
You get Halloween and Halloween 2 were okay, and then Halloween 3 don't count because it's not, what it is. Halloween 4 was okay, but Halloween 5 was a fucking disaster. 6 was almost as bad. Then you got H2O, which, a lot of people enjoyed, myself included. And then you have Resurrection, which is half of a fucking retarded mess, and half of it is a decent concept fucked up by Busta Rhymes.
No. It was Terminator Dark Fate 20 years prior. Killing off the main character.
As far as the Laurie Strode part, I agree.
Right.
Yeah, but after that, why would you give a fuck about the rest of the movie?
Because I honestly, that's the only place you go. I didn't mind the rest of it. They kind of took, if they would have left out the intro part, Halloween Resurrection is not one of the worst Halloween films. It's not even that bad of a slasher movie. Because the idea that you're doing this reality TV show in the house of the killer, it practically writes itself, especially when it's Michael Myers. He's coming home. Even though in that respect, if that was the movie itself, I would have probably been fine with it minus Busta Rhymes, because he is the worst actor in the whole fucking movie.
That as a dumbass Blair Witch found footage.
Well, that's kind of what they were doing, and I didn't have an issue with that part. My part was the issue is that it was a sequel to H2O. It should have just been we're just gonna make another Halloween film. It's just Michael Myers and not really kind of acknowledged anything. Then I've been fine with it. I'd have been like, whatever. They're just kind of continuing on.
The Laurie Strode part, no.
But that's the part that bothered me, was killing Laurie Strode and having her go out that way. That bothered me.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
throwing her out of a window, or no, it was on a rooftop. It felt like Ghostbusters 2016 when they threw Bill Murray out of a window. Like, F you, no.
Yeah, I needed more connection to the original film. Like I said, I wanted to see the Hall character come back, Tommy. More connection with the original characters from the original film. That's how you end Halloween. #Halloween ends. You bring it right back to the beginning, like Tom said, with the original characters. They should have all been in there stabbing a knife in each limb, and finishing them off. Whoever the survivors were left, not just Laurie. Because it felt like that was the premise they were basing it on, that Michael was a terror to this town, not just her. But then at certain points it centralizes around her instead. So it's like, well, what are you going with? Are you going with Michael's a terror to the town, or Michael's a terror to Laurie, or is Michael a terror to the granddaughter? I mean, it's like they couldn't figure out which storyline they wanted to stick to, and that's why it just felt like a convoluted mess. So. It is what
it's because they didn't commit to certain things. That's, I think, the problem.
Right.
First of all, when they sat down and decided to do this trilogy, they should have been like, what are we going to do here? Are we going to accept a timeline where Halloween 2, and H2O exist? Or are we going to accept a timeline where only Halloween and Halloween 2, and we're going to redo H2O again? Or are we just going with the first film? Because if we're going with the first film, that's where we're going to have to go for the gusto. And we've got to make it all about how Michael don't give a fuck about Laurie Strode, and you make her like a Sam Loomis character, like I brought up before, going forward. The moment she realizes I'm not important to him, he has a type, let's say.
Right.
And at that point, that opens up the franchise from there on forward, where no matter what happens to Jamie Lee Curtis, as long as Michael Myers is still alive for a couple more years, you can do a few more movies and they could still be in the vein of Halloween. But you're right. The problem here is they committed to the Laurie Strode story in the process of it all. And it's like, okay, so you're not making her the sister. Then
which I think
why?
It just ruins it.
Then why is he going after her? Which they answer with the doctor in the first film. But then after that, he's still coming after her for no good fucking reason. Really?
It's still connected to the family because it's going after the granddaughter and him, the protege getting all connected and lovey-dovey with her and trying to suck her into his world. And
that's where I had a problem with the 2018 movie, where I was like, that little kid that was getting babysat, like those two, like that should have been Laurie's daughter, and it just should have just happenstance been because she was babysitting. I would almost rather it been, hey, it's in the same fucking house as the Doyle house, which is hilarious.
Sure. Yeah,
if you really want to tie it into something, there you go. Right. Because he's just trying to repeat the night all over again. And it just happens to be Laurie's fucking daughter, her granddaughter.
And that's why it worked with, part 4 and 5 so well, is because even though we didn't get the Laurie Strode character back, they connected it right to the daughter, kept the storyline going. He was attacking after the family bloodline. His ultimate goal was to kill her, So that's that. If they kept it contextual with the sister, brother relationship, when they cut that out, I heard they dropped part 2 and that whole connection. I was like, ugh, that might be a mistake that bites this franchise in the ass in the end.
Yes and
It looks
no,
like
but that's where I said if you dive in, you got to dive all the way in,
right,
and make it not about Laurie Strode anymore, and that's where she becomes the Loomis character, right?
Yep.
She's the one who's coming in and going, I know what Michael Myers is capable of, and nobody listens to her.
Right.
And
I thought
she's the only one who takes him down at the end, yeah.
I thought they were really setting that up in the last film as well by bringing the original survivors back, all at the bar.
Especially if you have both her daughter and granddaughter get killed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So many mistakes.
Yeah. You know what I said not too long ago on fanzine channels? He was saying that when he was on air, like we were talking about Halloween Kills, and I don't remember exactly what I said, but I remember being fearful about Halloween Ends and hearing the rumors about it, and I said, and I said it on another channel that Halloween 2018 was like The Force Awakens. Halloween Kills was like The Last Jedi. A lot of people hated it. A lot of people loved it. I don't understand the people who hate it, but I guess that's what it's like to be on the other side of the fence, I guess. But this one is The Rise of Skywalker, where everyone fucking hates it.
As much as I don't agree with the films as far as like ratings wise, I see exactly where you're coming from, and I agree with you. Like, I see what you're saying.
Did I not say that on Fanzine's channel? Did I? Do you recall that conversation?
Not about this movie, because we hadn't seen this movie.
About this trilogy. No, I said it on a different channel. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, yeah, I hadn't heard you say that yet, but yeah, I see what you're saying here.
Yeah,
and I can see the comparison. And Levon disagrees and does not see that comparison, but hey, that's but can see where you're coming from. And that's where I'm at too. I'm kind of in like, I don't necessarily agree with the scale of the rating wise, but
I mean,
I can see where you're coming from.
Kills is not a Last Jedi equivalent by any means.
No,
but it does have that ending to it that you're kind of like, it's similar in the sense of the Luke Skywalker ending in a way that it's not where it should have ended. Not the way it should have ended.
Wait, what?
And then the next film picks up and goes to places that it shouldn't have went. So you're right in that comparison. Like, I can't disagree with you there. But I can't nearly say that this trilogy is anywhere as bad as the new Star Wars sequels, though. No. That I can't agree with. But
no. I'm just talking about the Halloween equivalent.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I can see the transgression or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we did the Roundtable last year for Kills,
or not transgression, but transition or whatever you want to call it. I don't know.
No, transgender, whatever. Who cares?
When we did the Roundtable last year for Kills, I was the one who sort of invoked the name of Star Wars. But if I had to compare the two, I mean, it's like comparing apples and oranges. But if I had to compare the two, I would rather sit down and watch these last 3 Halloween movies again than the Disney Star Wars films. Hands fucking down.
Oh yeah, honestly, I don't know if I ever will though. I think
granted,
I kind of said this. This is something I think I said on that stream the other night. You're talking about, Justin. I think because when we did bring it up, I think I said if this movie does suck, then H2O, Halloween 2, and Halloween will forever be my trilogy from here on out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're welcome.
Agreed.
I had a feeling that it was gonna suck, especially what they went with this Corey Cunningham, or whatever you want to call it. I call it Cunningham because he fucking
Well, what's
sucks.
sad is I don't hate the actor. I don't hate the storyline.
No,
There's
I don't
aspects
hate
of
the
it that they
actor.
could have in
Let's-
any other movie, in any other Halloween movie, it probably would have worked, or some other kind of franchise thing,
Yeah.
maybe.
For franchise, for sure.
Yeah,
I still fall back to the family storyline. It needed to either stick with the Laurie Strode family line or not, and it veered off too much on the granddaughter and the dating game dynamic. It was like two different scripts were written. The first script was written for some kind of dating venture serial killer, crazy ex-boyfriend psychotic type thing, right? Like The Crush. And then it spins into the actual Halloween franchise finally for the last 20, 30 minutes. So I really don't understand why they had put two stories in one. That just blows my mind, but it is what it is.
You know, I like the idea of Michael teaming up with somebody else, which is
Sure.
kind of nice. I'm like,
Different.
okay, cool.
It's a little Sylvester and
nice.
Sylvester Jr., but yeah.
Tag team, yeah. I mean, it was interesting.
I think
it
should have never went past. It should have never went past Corey feeding him victims, though. That because once it got to a point where
it should have never have been, like, hey, I hate these people. Let's kill them. The only good thing that I really saw that connected with the last movie was that the one woman lived, the black woman.
Yeah.
It didn't have a voice anymore. That was kind of nice. It's like, not nice, but like not nice.
Connective tissues. I was surprised she lived. Yeah.
Well, some connective tissues, but none that.
Nothing. No, you're right. And there was some people in the background that were in the last movie, but like again, it was kind of very tangential. But no,
they brought that little kid back for that little bit. And
and he was in the second film too.
Endgame, just like, what the fuck.
And I love that kid because he was hilarious, and I really liked his little cameo in the second film too. He's like, she was my very best babysitter, and he killed her. It's like,
no, didn't like it.
And then there was the mini love story with the Laurie Strode character as well, with the guy from the last.
They should have got together after the second film. Dragging it out like that was dumb.
I didn't understand that
I feel
either.
like he was off.
Like, what's the point?
Is the actor not doing well or something?
He did look a little ill in this one. You're right.
They kept showing up late, like they always do, and it's just
there's something. Sorry, Snow, but
yeah, go ahead. Snow.
I want to bring up something that Tom just put an idea in my mind. Will Patton is also in a series on Amazon called Outer Range. And through most of that season, he's bedridden. And I'm starting to wonder, did they do that because he is ill in some fashion?
I'm wondering because he did not look very good in this one compared to the first two. And that's the thing is the second film was shot just last year. That's what I'm saying is like, that's the weird thing is even though I'm not.
No, it was shot in 2019.
Was it?
Yeah.
But it didn't come out until last year.
Well, I know they had them all
pandemic,
ready.
That's why.
They had them all set up and ready, I think, before the pandemic, if I remember right.
When it comes to...
You're probably right. Now that you're thinking about it, you're probably right.
Yeah, when it comes to older people, like a couple of years will do a number on you.
Maybe that's why, that
makes it even worse because they had an extra year to realize that they had a stupid storyline and where the hell they were going with this. It's like, you had a whole year to look at this film and understand that.
Yeah, they shot it in 2019 and... It looks like they may have done reshoots in 2021.
So with reshoots, it still was completely just all over the place.
That was the second film, I mean.
They did reshoots this year, with they made the principal photography. And
I was talking about Halloween Kills.
Oh, okay.
So you are right. It was 2019. I was wrong in the beginning of the show. I remembered everything wrong. So they did shoot this one and the first one back to back. This one is when they had the gap in between. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can feel it and you can see it. That's for sure.
Yeah. I didn't understand the 4-year jump really either. I didn't really see the point of that. What was he doing for 4 years? Just hanging out in the sewer? As far as
no, I should have just continued it the same night, but they didn't have enough story. So
I guess. Was he living on rats down there, hanging out with the old bum?
Well, it just should have been, that first thing it should have been is that night the kids dumped him over the edge. The bum should have attacked him, and then he should have saw Michael pull him in, and that intrigues him. And then like later on, when those kids are fucking with him, he runs into the sewer and he actually sees Michael kill them. Right. And then at that point, he stirred him up, and he runs. Michael kind of lets him go, but Michael also comes out behind him, kind of thing. And then, like I said, from there on out, it could have been, is this the kid who did it, or is it Michael? Because nobody believes Michael's still around. But yeah,
because that was a question that I had.
Right.
Because there's hints dropped throughout the entire movie that there are people going missing in and around Haddonfield, right?
I noticed that too. Yeah. So it's clearly, yeah.
Is it Michael, or is it just like these are just random deaths? Because there are deaths in the movie that are not Michael related.
It feels like there's a chunk of the movie that was left out. You're right. Like, it would have been in the front end part, like this whole like setup of the curse of the town kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's the whole when they do toss him off that bridge, there's a whole giant billboard in the background about this missing woman.
Missing girl. And there's like, I noticed that too, Steven. There's a couple places where there's like things up of missing girls and this and that and the other. So yeah, I think you're right. I think there was a part where they were setting it up, and that's where that whole thing where we probably missed a few scenes or they cut it out, where Michael had been killing other people that either get drugged down there by the bum, or they happen to go down there because they're stupid teenagers or whatever to make out and shit.
I saw that because it was like some YouTuber who had said, oh, I noticed this. It was a scooper sort of situation where this person noticed this in a promo shot or something. I don't know how they noticed it, but I knew about the sign months ago, like 10 months ago. And I was like, is that going to be a big thing? Is that going to be the beginning of the movie, or is...
Well, that's the thing that they kind of distance, like it started out that way and then it went off the rails, because it's like Corleone Rogue points out here, like they had the couple shot in the car, and of course Will Patton as a cop is like, Michael, don't shoot people in the head, or Michael, don't use guns, or whatever it was he said. So like that's the thing, is you would have had this whole town is like, okay, so every fucking murder now you have somebody who's a premeditated murder. As long as they make it look like Michael Myers, everybody's going to question it. Right? Like that's the thing. And is Michael roaming around underneath the town for the last 4 years or what?
Yeah, they should have ran with that for sure. I mean, this movie actually kind of dropped the ball on that one. It felt like it was setting up something kind of interesting there, and then it gets on the Corey's storyline as well. Yeah. This is another lackluster sequel that I'm just disappointed in, kind of like the Hellraiser one. And now we got Nancy talking about coming back to the Elm Street series.
I hope that don't happen, to be honest. I hope they bring back Robert, but not her.
Yes,
I'll
Robert
be honest
needs
with
one
you.
more. Yeah, Robert needs one more.
How about none of that?
Well, no, I'm all fine with.
No
here's
more.
The thing: if they're gonna make a Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's the thing, is nowadays with technology, that's the only one I say go for it, because you can just get a body double and put his face over a body double anyway. He's doing CGI. Mostly a voice anyway. Exactly.
The dream sequences will be awesome.
Yeah, and the dream sequences can be really awesome and stuff, and actually utilize modern technology.
Right.
Like that I don't have so much of a problem with. But then again, it could be completely soulless. And I'm not disagreeing with you, Justin, at the same time as like maybe they should just leave well enough alone, but they're not going to. So
and the last Jason movie was a reboot, but if they make another Jason movie, it'll be the 13th movie, which is kind of an important number for the
they're
Jason
supposed to be going back to the original timeline, but I have no idea. I've heard so many rumors about both Friday and Nightmare.
Last time about the lawsuit stuff, is it? I think the lawsuit stuff.
Well, it's been decided, but now as long as the two parties can work together, they can make a movie.
Right.
That's the thing, is it makes no sense for nobody to work together if you can't make money. So from what I heard, Blumhouse is involved with Nightmare on Elm Street, and that's probably what's going to happen there. I bet you they'll get Robert Englund to sign on for like 2 or 3 movies, and they're smart if they do that way. They can shoot all the Freddy stuff at once, get that out of the way.
They can get them back. They got to pay
and
them
then
right.
If you're going to do a trilogy, go for it. And then so far as Friday the 13th, you can make Friday the 13th movies till you're blue in the fucking face.
Right.
You just got to
This
get
is
it off on the right
13th.
path.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, but the only problem is this, as you said, Tom, this is the 13th movie. So why not
Actually, Snow said it, but
yeah, if it's gonna be in the original timeline, as you said it,
yeah, that's what I said.
yeah, then you may as well make it a tribute to the whole franchise.
It might be
do
something
just
to that
do it.
effect.
You know, just make it fun, make it as gory
To be
and
honest with you
stupid
guys,
as possible. I don't give a fuck.
And
I
bring
can't
back
believe-
Kane Hodder.
I can't believe after Halloween they didn't Snow, that we didn't get either Thom Matthews or Corey Feldman come back as Tommy Jarvis.
That'd been awesome. Sure.
One of those two guys, but
you got to use Kane Hodder again as Jason.
Yeah.
I know they wanted to reboot the franchise.
Wait, are they not doing that?
They haven't used Kane
know.
Hodder for the last two movies. They didn't use him in Freddy vs. Jason.
I think they may have a problem with him as far as like he can't do his stunts anymore, but he could do like the walking scenes and stuff.
Yeah, he could do the kills. I think the basic ones. But he still does the Hatchet movies. He did a Hatchet movie.
That's
not too long
true.
ago.
That is true.
He's still able.
I'm in the minority here. I think running Jason is better.
Oh well.
I don't like zombie Jason.
He can move fast, but I don't like him. I don't like him running.
No, zombie Jason.
Well, I know you and I disagree on zombie Jason, but I will say this. This is the other thing is though we already have kind of an interesting thing with Friday the 13th, is because there's been people who have kind of insinuated that the remake in quotations isn't necessarily a remake anyway. It's just another fucking sequel. It just has a recap in the beginning because really. It isn't so much of a remake as it is just kind of a pick up where we left off kind of movie in a way.
And maybe this should be one of those movies.
Well, that's what I'm hearing is like it's going to just be when they do finally get back to it, it's going to be like just kind of pick up where you left off.
Dude, just the Friday the 13th. Like first off, when has story ever mattered?
Doesn't. Continuity is even almost as less important.
Continuity doesn't matter. So let's pull a Spider-Man No Way Home, and let's have all three Tommy Jarvises show up.
Or three Jasons. Like three.
And not three Jasons. Like all. I don't know, all the Jasons.
Well, I don't know about that. That's going a little batshit crazy. But
I don't care.
You could have a scene in a bar where like the one whoever plays it in the movie just happens to like belly up to the bar right next to the other two guys. That would be funny. Yeah. And just like have a hey, how you doing kind of moment.
I don't care. This is a wacky franchise. Yeah. You could have fun with it. You could have
you got to reground. The problem is you got to reground Friday the 13th. That's the problem. Motherfucker went to space and shit. Like now you got to. And
if you're
gonna
go back to the original timeline, may as well go as bonkers as you want.
And as far as the remake goes, there's a lot of people who do enjoy the remake, but I was on one of those. I was not one of those. I hated it. I like the problem I have with it is they didn't do
the only one that had plot.
Not really. It's
the most that anyone
the final girl show.
had.
Well, my problem with Friday the 13th is it turned him into fucking Leatherface. Jason don't take fucking prisoners.
They had a pretty good idea with bringing back some of the original people from the original connections from the original movies in Jason Goes to Hell, but they did it wrong with him being this worm that transferred from body.
Well, it was supposed to be Tommy, but they didn't want to pay. New Line didn't want to pay for the character.
Right. And I think if they pulled something like that out, and brought back some nostalgia and some original actors and characters, bring back Kane Hodder to play Jason, who's played him the most out of the most movies. It just makes sense to bring him back. And that'll pull the fan base in. The diehard Jason lovers will come to see the movie to see their old favorites back on screen, like the No Way Home you were talking about there, Proper. That's that whole connection of the nostalgia factor, because you're right. They don't have many more cards they could play with the 13th movie.
Yeah. I mean, you can have multiple different Jasons playing Jason. That's fine. I like that. I like that
too. Sure.
Yeah, and then you can have like three Tommy Jarvises.
Like two fake Jasons, and the real Jason comes back.
You guys are making my head explode.
and kills all the other Jasons.
Why?
Cool.
Why?
Because
Why
a
are we
Friday the 13th reboot is so easy.
Yeah,
you just
I
gotta
know.
take it back to
that's
Crystal
lazy.
Lake, take it back to the basics.
It's so lazy, though. We've seen it.
No, that's boring.
now.
That's boring.
Yeah.
That's why.
What else are you gonna
Because
do?
That's why
I don't need a Spider-Man No Way Home
No,
of the fucking
Tommy
Friday the 13th
Jarvis's.
franchise.
Bring back Kevin Bacon. Bring back Chris
What did he do?
Glover.
Fall into a fucking wormhole in space in Jason X or some shit? And
Yes,
it was his son.
oh, for God's sake!
It was his son. He had a son
May as well
before
make it
camping
ridiculous.
Trip.
Make it
Looks
ridiculous.
just like him.
Make it fun.
You're gonna be the reason I drink, Justin.
This is
Well,
great.
Halloween Ends is the reason why I drink now.
I think
not
I need
surprised.
a drink after this movie because
I wish I could recommend it. I can't recommend it to anybody really. In the end of the day,
maybe if you're a Halloween fan, I give it a spin just to see old Jamie Lee do it one more time.
No.
Besides that.
If you're a Halloween fan, like I am, fuck this movie. This movie sucks. It has no spirit to the original film. It has, except for the last shot, the last sequence of shots, which was
fast forward to the last 20
it
minutes.
felt like forced fan service, which was
Right.
bullshit. It's like they didn't know what they wanted to do, and so fuck this movie. Fuck this movie. Fuck everything that looks like this movie.
My son, in the first few minutes of the movie, with the whole kid scene and he falls and all that stuff, my son turns and looks at me. He's like, "Do we have the right movie on, Dad?" Because
it's like, is this fucking Child's Play or what?
Yeah, he was like, you thought we were gonna watch fucking Michael Myers kick ass? I'm like, I think so, son. I had to check.
I'm kind of waiting for Chucky to start laughing there for a minute.
Right.
Xenobits.
I'm
what
sorry,
about
I'm
Jason
sorry.
versus the Toxic Avenger for $2? I'd watch that.
Sure, why not? But you gotta throw.
If you're gonna go wacky.
Bring it.
But that's funny you mentioned that because that's the thing is Blumhouse was trying to get Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Nightmare on Elm Street, and Jason to do a whole crossover universe at one point.
Yes.
It's funny you mentioned that. I actually used to draw a comic as a kid of all my favorite horror movie monster characters together. I had a Freddy's team and a Jason's team, and certain horror movie characters were on each team. And I just had them beat each other up. It was just a stupid comic I used to draw, but in my head, that was always like my fantasy movie. And I wanted to see a great Freddy versus Jason movie when it came out. And that's another one where it's just like, go to the last 30 minutes because the whole rest of the movie is just shit. And that's kind of what this reminds me of is Freddy versus Jason.
Well,
it's like,
there's some moments in Freddy versus Jason, like the scene where Jason's just going to fucking town on the kids at the party scene is amazing.
Corn thing? Yeah, that was pretty good. But
it's just like let Jason go. He's just like womp 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 womp.
Yeah,
teenagers everywhere.
Good old Ohio.
Well, there are some good kills. Don't get me wrong. I even like.
He's like a man who was just let out of prison into a fucking titty bar.
Yes.
Well, that's the one where what's his name from the Christmas Story comes back or comes in it, right? The kid,
Ralphie?
the bully from the Christmas Story.
Oh yeah. He plays the older brother that killed himself in the bathtub. Yeah,
that was the guy that I always thought could play Freddy. That could.
He would have made a good Freddy. You're not wrong. And actually, I think he follows me on Twitter.
No shit, huh?
Yeah. Actually, that's some of the bits too I did like in Nightmare on Elm Street because of the Freddy versus Jason because it seemed like they kind of were tapping back in. I like that they brought back Hypnosil. Mm-hmm. I like that the the one chick's dad actually worked for the same clinic that Nancy and all them worked for in third film.
Oh yeah,
and all that. Right. And I like that they made sure they tried to tie it back. And if you've read the other scripts, Snow Dub, like. Trust me, that's the best version of Freddy versus Jason at that time we probably were going to get. Because there's scripts where you had like Freddy cults. There's scripts where you had like people putting the heart of their friend in Jason to resurrect him to fight Freddy and shit. And you got Jason driving a fucking Camaro and crap. Like it's fucking just weird shit. So like when you see that script in comparison to some of the other ones I've read, it's like, yeah, that's...
Well, wasn't there a Pinhead idea originally with
well, all the scripts kind of ended that way, but they couldn't get the rights worked out.
Ah, that's right.
Yeah, basically at the end they both end up in hell, and then like and basically you have Pinhead going, "Now, boys, what's the problem?"
Yeah,
or
let's
whatever.
play or something, and don't chains come out and pull them back.
That would have been cool though to see
Yeah.
like Ash versus Freddy versus Jason versus Leatherface versus Pinhead. I'd be down for that.
I could get down with that. Yeah.
I could find a way to make all those continuities work easy.
Or just have Ash fall into the horror movie realm multiverse all of a sudden.
Well, first of all, Ash and Evil Dead are already connected with Jason, so that's easy.
Right. And we saw Freddy's claw actually in the corner of one of the shot scenes of Evil Dead Part 2.
Yep.
So
there's enough connections and a connective tissue, and Hellraiser being a part of Hell, so he's in that equation. That also gives, like, you can also make Freddy as almost like a kind of a Cenobite of sorts.
Sure.
In ways. And then Leatherface is just a human, so whatever.
Well, the Evil Dead can incarnate anything that your mind can think of, so it can literally bring those characters into Ash's reality.
That's true too. You could even it's an easier, cheaper route. But I mean, the thing is, basically the way you set this movie up is Leatherface is pretty much your hero villain because he's the only human, right? And I mean,
right. I mean, when you
root for the cannibal.
Two guys with chainsaws. That's all I'm fucking saying.
Chainsaw duel at the end, man. Who's gonna win?
Now that they're all dead, now what?
We have not seen a good chainsaw duel on screen.
And it ends, and just you got Ash and Leatherface just looking at each other, revving up.
Right? And chainsaws are taking
blood everywhere.
Right now.
Yep.
I think we got
and Ash takes out one of Leatherface's legs, probably both of them. And then he's like crying, and then he just saws his face off, and it's amazing.
Sorry about that, Snow. I hit a wrong button.
It's all right. That's the problem.
He was trying to mute me.
No, I was trying to mute my button, and my mouse just slipped up, and it was like, yeah.
No, that's what we need now. Okay. We need a good mesh up of some of the greatest characters, ever to put on screen and throw them
a
all
monster mash.
It's so funny. When I was in first grade, I always thought like, oh, wouldn't it be kind of cool? Wouldn't it be kind of cool to have all of these? Yeah. No. I thought of like the Avengers of all of these different franchises that I loved, like Harry Potter and shit like that. With the kids from Stand By Me. Like, wouldn't that be cool if they all met? But I didn't understand, like, age matters as well. And, like, wouldn't it be amazing if, the Lord of the Rings people, like, led the Harry Potter, cast to, like, with the ring and shit? I don't know. I don't know. I thought that would have been great, but I realized that, in practice, it can be a fucking disaster. But if you do it well, there is a sort of like good recipe that you can make to make the fucking
you just
best
can't
birthday cake of awesomeness.
You can't take it as seriously as they did Freddy versus Jason. That's the first thing.
No, you can never take it
You
seriously.
can't. That's the problem with these is they can't be that serious. They have to be kind of campy in a way. Because it is really basically the House of Frankenstein kind of movie, right? You don't want to go as far as like, but that's what I have. Like I said, you have basically Ash having to team up with one of the killers being Leatherface because he's the only one who's still human and has some kind of comprehension to where he can understand that, even though
he's going to be the Corey Cunningham of Texas Chainsaw.
But, like I said, those two team up against the rest. Freddy and Jason are taken out via, the Book of the Dead. Or something like that, and Hellraiser's sent back to hell because they figure out the limitation box in the process, and then at that point, it's those two stuck. Here. Yeah, you're not wrong.
An idea here.
But Jonathan Ray says, give us a remake set in the 80s of Friday the 13th, new characters, give us human and then zombie Jason sequels, make him a Deadite versus Ash. I can go with the latter part, but we've already got the early stuff. Just reestablish Jason is still hanging around. That's all you got to do.
Now, there was at one time a script that was floating around by a writer named Nick Antosca.
Freddy versus Jason versus Ash.
There was like an 80s set story. If you're not familiar with him, he wrote he was the showrunner on the Channel Zero series, which I was a big fan of. And he also wrote the story that they got antlers from a couple of years back. But he had an 80s set Friday the 13th script, but with all of the legal wrangling, that's why that one didn't happen. It was an interesting take, I thought.
You know, they're working with possible box office gold here because we've seen the nostalgia. If it's done correctly, it brings people to the theaters, puts butts in seats. We saw it with Spider-Man, we saw it with Top Gun. If they put together a great montage horror movie of some of these classic characters, like an Avengers film, so to speak, except in the horror world, if they did it right, this could be literally a blockbuster. You know, the biggest horror movie ever. You know, that made the most money ever. We're talking record breaking, but they don't. Hollywood, I don't know if is that smart yet to figure that one quite out. You know, plus all the different movie studios fighting amongst each other for character rights is where they're having a problem. But they gotta figure it out, like Sony and Disney did, because that's how they made money together. You know, as much as I hate Disney, that was one of the smartest moves they probably ever made.
There was a time where we could have had Jason, Freddy, and
Ash.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not Ash, but
or
at least
Pinhead?
no, not Michael Myers, Jesus Christ. Leatherface together, because they were under Warner at the same time, but then Jason got into the whole legal wrangling, and then Leatherface has been moved around at least a half a dozen times since then. Pinhead went from being Disney, aka Miramax, to I think Lionsgate, and then now back to Disney via Fox. So go figure on that one.
You know what would be amazing? Yeah. What would be amazing is that the next Friday the 13th film, the 13th, and then
Chucky's over at Universal. Man.
What?
So then Chucky's over at Universal with Michael Myers. But you're about to say what would be a neat Friday 13th?
Yeah, this is the time. This is the time to get all of the amazing. Like if you're going to do a crossover film, the 13th, that's what you call it, the 13th.
Yeah, no, that'd be good. But
hear me out.
Chucky's tied up in the series right now. Season 2.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, and that's why you don't
need Chucky. You don't need.
Fuck Chucky, like that stupid doll. Fuck that.
Well, it's not so much that. It's just that
he's more
90s anyway. But yeah,
one of the icons, you know.
But you have let's say that all the OG, whoever you can have back, have like a I remember there was a survival girl support group or something that was like a book.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember
I see where you're going with this. Yeah, like
saw that, yeah.
Like Alice and Tommy and all the survivors of all the different franchises. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, Alice can go fuck herself because she's she's dead. I'm sorry. No, like she doesn't qualify necessarily, but Jenny.
Lisa Wilcox never died.
No. Ginny from Part 2, Friday the 13th Part 2.
No, I'm talking about Nightmare on Elm Street Alice.
Oh, I thought
she never really got a conclusion to her storyline with her kid. Yeah.
Okay. And we never found out if Jason's mom had any, sisters or brothers.
That's true.
Jason's aunt come out of the woodwork,
Yeah, let's say that
you can have an homage to Psycho 2 and have it that was not really Jason's mother all along. Remember in Psycho 2 when they changed a bit, but people love that sequel though. That was one of those rare occasions where
didn't
it was enough to make a third one.
Yeah, and you can have all the survivors versus all the killers. Let's see who lives and who dies. It could be a superhero kind of thing, like a comic book kind of thing. And
if you brought back like the best of the best, but then you're talking Jamie Lee Curtis, you're talking about Nancy, you're talking about that takes some big money to try and pull that off.
I know.
Unfortunately, that would be a big
money, big returns.
You have to have a
when you're talking about that many studios, though, that's why I say you keep it simple with certain characters, maybe. But once you start bringing in a lot of all the franchises that are separated out, because Universal's going to want X amount of a cut, and they're going to want to say over what Chucky and Michael can do,
your way of,
and Disney's going to have a say over what what the Hellraiser characters can do, and they're going to want, and they're going to be like, so we get a less. No, I know what you're saying, Justin. I would love to see it, But I'm just saying, like, unfortunately, in reality, it's like one of those things, because then you're gonna have Disney going, well, we want this much, and everybody's gonna be going, fucking Pinhead ain't worth that much, you know.
Right.
So it's gonna turn into a big fucking fight. I know, but like, I'm just saying, like, okay, but even if you leave Pinhead out of the equation, then once you get past all that bullshit, like what Snow is saying is true too, because then you're gonna have like Corey Feldman wanting the same as fucking Jamie Lee Curtis, and everybody's gonna go, are you fucking crazy, Corey?
Right.
And everybody's gonna be like, why is Jamie Lee Curtis making the most?
Yeah, Jessica Biel walks in like, I know I haven't been relevant for 20 years, but had the best tits, you know. So
why are you here?
And Jamie goes, excuse me, I had the best tits in my time. You know, this could really get.
And Heather Langenkamp's just like, I just want to be in it. I don't care. She's just all happy in the corner, just like, I just want to be in it.
Yeah, and then you got Doug Bradley and Robert Englund, you know, talking shit about who gets paid more. You know, it'll be
or who knows more Shakespeare. Really, they probably would.
Oh no shit, right? Yeah,
you're gonna have a whole scene about that. I don't know.
Those two would just sit there and wax intellectual all day and be like, hey, are you guys gonna fucking? You're gonna act, or you're gonna sit there and talk shit all day about fucking Broadway? Like, come on, guys.
10 different stunt doubles fighting over who gets to play Michael in this one. You know, there's going to be a lot of controversy going on.
Well, that's another thing. Yeah, oh God, you'd have the stunt doubles of everybody being like, Jason wouldn't go down for Michael. Oh, fuck you, Michael wouldn't go down.
Right.
No way.
There'd be all kinds of bickering in the back, you know.
And then
Leatherface is just back there snickering.
Yeah, a lot of side bets going on. I bet you Michael.
It would be amazing, though. The making of that would be just as entertaining as the movie itself, I bet.
Yeah, it's definitely a
Wes Craven's new nightmare.
It's top peak horror interest.
That could make it happen too, yeah.
It's the Avengers of the horror franchise. They just haven't gotten smart enough to pull it off yet. And they're going to have to eventually, because if they want to keep butts in seats and keep people coming back to these theaters and movies and tuning in, they have to go there, or else they have to let these characters go. Because they can't keep remaking it over and over again every 8 years. The fresh ideas are running dry, and these characters are turning into, you know, just kind of plastic carbon copy characters of themselves over and over again. It's like, you know, same with the thing with Lord of the Rings and how they tried bringing characters back from that, and it's just like, come on, you got to leave them alone if you're not going to do it right. You got to leave them alone.
Yeah, like a senior citizen Michael Myers. Fuck that.
Well, that's kind of what we have now, but no, then the whole crew and cast get quiet when Tony Todd enters the scene.
I don't want to see.
They give him all the utmost respect.
Right. Oh, that could be. You know what? You know what? That
could
be a great post-credit sequence. Him as Candyman, but not like actually as Candyman. And depending on who the studios are and what rights they have.
Who's first?
So who's first?
Xenobit says the Candyman exists in Willy Wonka universe when they keep singing the Candyman can. That's why the kids.
The Candyman.
That's why I got all psychedelic on the boat.
Willy Wonka is the real Candyman.
The Candyman can, because he mixes this with love and makes the world taste good. And then when you
candy's made with children.
And no, and when you cut to when the world tastes good, you have Candyman eating a mouthful of bees.
But you never stop to think of that. He didn't. All those kids ended up being made into candy somehow.
Did they?
Well, did we get so we got another Jeepers Creepers movie that just came out as well.
Fuck that.
I heard it was a nightmare.
That's a franchise I just do not have the time of day for because of the
I
first one was so
Justin
good.
Long in Tusk more than this.
I don't disagree with you, Snow. Like, the idea of it was good, but I cannot. I can't stomach that motherfucker. The director.
That bad, huh?
Then this latest Hellraiser incarnation.
Well, he's that guy who fucking was a kid diddler who actually got convicted. Yet they gave him a job afterwards. It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, his third movie got boycotted pretty much, unfortunately.
Powder or whatever it was.
Yeah. And then this new Hellraiser that came out, Tom, you know, for a second there, I was hoping for something good with that, but it had some.
I didn't hate it, but I didn't you say it should have been cut down to about 90 minutes in the chat?
Yeah, it should have been chopped down a lot more. And of course, like I said before, a female Pinhead, I didn't find her intimidating. And for the longest time, I couldn't figure out which female was actually the dominant one, because the other female looked like she was pulling as much clout as she was.
There was only like one guy as the Cenobites, I think.
Right, maybe two. But they were the coolest ones. The one with the arms that split apart, I thought was really awesome. Kind of looked like an alien. Then the other one with the flute lungs or whatever, but they had some interesting stuff going on there.
Lungs, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on with the Cenobite. I just don't get intimidated.
Well, and it's been an interesting year for horror. I don't know. Have you watched Child's Play or the Chucky series season 2 yet?
No, I was almost going to sit down and start watching it the other night, but
the first episode was free on YouTube, but I haven't yet been able to find a way to watch it because I don't have TV.
I think the first 2 episodes are now on YouTube, actually, if I'm not mistaken. They did that with the first season as well for a while.
I wasn't a fan of that first episode of the second season. Like, all the great things that were about the first season seem to be kind of going to the woke direction now. Because they spend like a half hour on the kids' fucking...
Oh, because the one...
relationship. And I'm like, I would gripe if this was a straight relationship too, so don't think it's about that. It's just the fact that we're spending way too much time on this shit. I liked the balance in the first season. It was there. It was in the background. They had a setup and a payoff, but it wasn't the overarching story. So far in this first episode of the second season, it dominated the story to the where it's like, are we going to have Chucky in the Chucky show?
Oh, no.
But they do have a really funny Chucky scene in it, and there's a couple other bits that I liked. So, I mean, it has potential yet, so I'm like, well, I'll give it a few more episodes before I check out, if I'm going to check out. I don't know if I can check out of it because it's... Okay, so if some people are saying... Entertainment Wizard said it's better. Alex McCarthy says it's meh. So, no, Peacock's not adding them until they're done with the whole season. And last season I got them on Amazon, and what it would do is I'd pay for the whole season, and then like 24 hours after it would be on TV, it would show up on Amazon. But it doesn't look like they're doing that this year. So I'm stuck with either watching it on YouTube or finding other means. Because I do not have cable.
Yeah, most of the new stuff that's been coming out in the horror categories anyway has been pretty much meh. I've been getting 5s and 6s as far as grades and scales. But Dahmer, on the other hand, actually surprised me. I that was kind of a sleeper. I thought it was really good. I've
heard a lot of good things about that. I should check it
out.
Oh,
yeah, it's very good.
Job. He should win some kind of award, Academy Award, whatever they give for Netflix actors.
Maybe an Emmy, I think.
Okay. Yeah, he should get one of
those.
Yeah,
not an Academy Award. It's not a movie, so...
he was... the shit he had to go through to play that character, I could only imagine. And I'm glad he's still here and didn't pull a Heath Ledger on us from after the Joker, because it was that intense.
You know what?
And that stuff.
Maybe he would have won an Academy Award.
Would it be Academy Award for that? Because it's a series.
Heath Ledger?
No, it'd be an
Heath
Emmy.
Ledger.
Heath Ledger did win an Academy Award.
Academy Award, yeah.
Yes, because he died.
Postpartum, unfortunately.
But not to take away from what he did, but I feel like it was one of those things where like superhero movies in general are not taken seriously, and so when you have a great performance like that, it's not really.
We also had that Smile movie, and we had that Black Phone movie. They're supposed to be.
Yeah, the Black Phone is excellent.
And Black Phone's supposed to be coming on Peacock now, and I bought a year of Peacock.
Yeah.
So
superhero movies though.
I gave
at
it
the time, not horror movies.
Oh, but we got a cream in our pants over Superman being in Black Adam. Don't you know that, Justin?
Yes, and I don't give two shits.
The Black Phone is all right.
I was being sarcastic.
I like Black Phone.
I know. I guess the point was
Ethan Hawke made that.
Why does it take somebody? Yeah. Why does it take somebody in a niche genre to die in order to win an award and be recognized?
That's a good question.
It's disappointing because like Thank God we still have Joaquin.
Well, that's
Phoenix.
not totally true. You just got to be black otherwise.
What?
And we got the last
Black
season
Panther
of,
got nominated for Best Picture.
Oh no! Oh, okay. I was like,
that's
I
right.
don't remember a black Joker.
And I'm sorry. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? There's nowhere in any world that is in any league with any Best Picture winner. I don't care if it's even fucking like English Patient level shit. That is like the biggest gimme fucking nomination in the history of gimme nominations.
Right? Like Captain America Winter Soldier is probably the best story to put in that, best picture.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, as far as like a Best Picture category, if it's not Dark Knight, definitely that, yeah.
Right. And so if you don't pull one of those out first, or maybe even, Infinity War, but it to go to Black Panther
even that is
reach.
Kind of,
it's a reach, yeah.
As much as I love Infinity War, I'm not so sure that's Academy Award.
Yeah,
was
Chadwick Boseman still alive at
that point? Yes, it was a total BLM fucking move.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, then Oscars So Black or whatever movement.
Exactly. Oh yeah, the whole Oscar So Black, all that was all at the same time. Perfect timing for it all. We all knew it wasn't going to fucking win.
You had no black
I almost wanted to see it win, like on purpose. I'm just like, let's see this motherfucker win.
Might as well.
Because then from here on out, what's your goddamn excuse? Because the next time there's a movie that we know is 10 times better than Black Panther, it better get nominated for best fucking picture then.
Right.
But
that's why it didn't win.
Hearing the stories of Harvey Weinstein visiting the nursing homes of these Academy people, it gave me a bad taste in my mouth.
I've already made the argument the Academy Awards were good up until they were changed by Weinstein in the 90s. That's where things changed. And the modern version is a whole nother change.
Over Saving Private Ryan? I'm sorry, but no, you're wrong. You're wrong.
Yeah.
No, we know that's when Weinstein started buying the Oscars, yeah.
Weinstein started leaving a bad taste in the mouth of a lot of female actresses too on the couch.
Oh yeah. There was a joke of there was a casting couch that was on Hollywood Boulevard. As a joke, but it did not land well after the Me Too movement.
All right.
Yeah, and I understand why.
What a greaseball!
But with that, let's wrap this up, guys.
All right.
I want to thank everybody for hopping in here.
Well, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I got to be up in the morning though for the morning show and stuff like that. So, but thank you, Justin, for hopping in here and Snowdub. Check out their channels. Check out Deleted Scenes channel. I'm sure you got one on the YouTube somewheres. I might even be subscribed to it myself.
I've been posting the links. Yeah.
Awesome sauce. And then also Greg from Fanzine as well. Thank you for hopping in here. I was trying to get Valiant Renegade's attention because he watched it earlier too, but he must have went to bed like an old man.
Yeah, it's like midnight my time. And I'm on West Coast, so it's pretty late.
2 my time.
Yeah, it's pretty late for the old timers. Yeah,
it's 3 my time.
Well, you're a party animal, proper.
Yeah, so I don't think anybody.
Do I have that reputation?
I don't think anybody here on the panel can recommend Halloween, but yeah. So unfortunately,
I give it a 5 to 6, something like that. It's not the best, but definitely not the absolute worst. It was tolerable. Some good kills in there. Good kills.
I would disagree with you on that too. Everything was lackluster. Kills.
You're very difficult to please, though, Justin.
Skipping tongue on the record player, though, I don't know. I thought that was a nice touch.
That I like your wordplay there.
It was like, shut up, you ain't on the mic no more, right?
That was okay. All right. You make a good point there. All right, I award you that. But other than that, this was as Tom would say. The Gene Siskel in me would say thumbs down.
I gotta agree with you on the. I'm probably in the thumbs down category. Although, if my personal feeling, I'd give it a thumbs up, but barely. But as far as like recommending it to anybody, I can't because I don't need anybody blaming me for being like.
Why would you say personally is thumbs up?
Because there's stuff in it I do like. Like it's about a 6.
Yeah.
So that to me is in the good category, but it's barely a thumbs up, but it's not like I would recommend it to somebody because I don't want somebody pissed off at me
Well,
I think you're afraid of the reaction. If it hit you emotionally, if the scenes with Corey, like resonated with you in your own life, I understand that.
It's
And
not
I
that. I
understood
mean,
what.
my dad did treat me like. No, I'm just kidding.
Prepare yourself to see Michael
I
Myers,
feel
son.
like there are some skeletons in your closet that were
There might
revealed in
be.
this one, and that's why.
it's
That
just.
may be why, because I feel the same way. But with that said, as a movie,
I was
as
joking,
a Halloween movie, thumbs way the fuck down.
Well, I think it was not that bad, but
Yeah.
would I recommend it? You're right, Tom. Probably not, but I would just make sure to let people know it's two different movies. You're going to watch one movie for the first 90 minutes, and then you're going to finally get your Halloween movie for the last 30.
You're not wrong.
Not even that.
And be prepared for the opening, because the opening is a bit jarring.
Right.
It really kind of took me off kilter.
It felt like a Pearl Jam music video.
Yeah, like my kids said.
Yeah.
Are we watching a Halloween movie, Dad?
Yeah, thank you, the one person who
I was gonna be like, I don't know, but then I'm like, yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Because you had to think about it.
Jeremy broke his neck again.
Oh, no.
Wasn't the kid's name Jeremy too with him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Jesus.
I know. And that's the first thing that I thought when I saw that. I was like, yep, this is the Pearl Jam music video that I'm watching.
There it is.
Jeremy broken.
The Corey guy kind of looks like Eddie Vedder too,
Hey, again, I don't know what he says,
right?
but
maybe he looks more like the guy from The Doors, but yeah, he definitely.
Jim Morrison.
Yeah, kind of.
Zero talent. The keyboard player was better, but I don't know. It's a conversation for another day.
Well, watch Corey Halloween if you want to see the story of Corey, and then you'll get to see the last 30 minutes of your Halloween trilogy at the end.
You want to watch a 2 thumbs down movie with Halloween, the second worst, next to Halloween Resurrection? There you go. You will like this movie if you liked Halloween Resurrection.
It's the Halloween gory, hoary Corey story. You're going to love it.
Yes, it's very hoary, very gory.
Actually,
no, it's not gory. It's not gory at all.
When he gets off the bench.
There's no blood. There's no fun.
With backup quarterback Michael Myers, who comes in at the end to save the game.
Oh, man. Halloween Kills is like my third favorite Halloween movie now. Just because this one sucks so much, and Halloween Kills, I was like, oh, there's some hope of something that happens afterwards. And this movie has zero connection to all of it. It makes no sense. It's so stupid. Fuck this movie. Yeah, that's it. And John Carpenter should be ashamed that he's associated with this movie.
He's not. He's got paid.
Yeah, I know.
I'm going to sit pretty for the rest of my life now because of these 3 movies.
Play video games and
get high.
Yeah, you can tell. You can tell because he put effort in the first movie.
Now I want to see him take.
Oh, do you think he really had anything to do with any of these movies as far as story-wise?
The first one,
just the score. Yeah.
Halloween.
Wait.
Yes. I felt like there was inspiration there.
Here's some good news about John Carpenter. One, he's attached to the new Thing project through Blumhouse, which gives me a little hope. But he's also interested in making a remake, or not a remake, but making a movie out of Dead Space, which I think he can sell at. So fingers crossed, that we get a good Dead Space movie with John Carpenter coming out of retirement. One more time.
Nope.
Shut up, Proper. I'm tired of my dreams.
Is Kurt Russell in the new Thing movie?
I don't know yet. No, we don't know nothing.
I don't know. He died.
Attached.
Wait, Kurt Russell is attached?
I know.
No, John Carpenter is.
Yeah.
Well, unless Kurt Russell is also attached.
Possibly. They're best friends.
Not
I still say they should just make Things.
They got to bring Keith David back too, and Kurt Russell, and do some kind of 20 years later spinoff. Where
you want to do some meta-ass movie where we're inside in a different angle of the first original film? Do Things as a movie.
That could be good.
You know what I'm talking about, Snow? I think you do.
Yeah,
I do.
Get to the next level. Yep.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Things is actually the movie Thing from the aliens' point of view. But he sees humans as just a bunch of things. He's like, these things are fucking crazy. I got to get the hell out of here.
Oh yeah, that was a great story. It's a great story, and it makes you almost feel bad for the Thing when you read it.
He's just trying to get the fuck away from him. He's trying to build a ship so he can get the fuck out of there.
They keep wanting to burn him up. Yep.
They keep wanting to burn him up and kill him. And
he's just trying to find a warm place to hide, guys. Yeah,
I think, and then you could actually give away the ending there. You could actually say which one was the Thing. Yeah.
Well, I was always thinking with the CG effects now, like they did with the Irishman, there's no reason why they can't bring Kurt Russell, Keith David back and do something where the chopper picks him up and they spend something off. Maybe it crash lands on the other side of Antarctica.
Who do you think is the Thing? It's Keith David, don't you think?
Sure.
That's the fan theory. Outside of the one shot, he's the only one who doesn't have breath.
Sure. I would go with that, I guess. Either way, I think there's possibility there with today's technology and, the right money, the right budget, the right script. They could pull something off that'd be pretty decent, but they got to go with practical effects. That's where they screwed up that prequel. They did some things right in that, but the CGI has just killed it.
I can't believe that was Keith David.
That was him. That was one of his first movies, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. Like these great actors, their first movies were horror movies. Keith David, Kevin Bacon.
Yeah. Johnny Depp. There's a lot of greats that started in horror.
Yep. Jamie Lee Curtis.
Kevin
Crispin Glover.
The list goes
Corey
on.
Feldman. 3 of them were Friday the 13th.
I wouldn't necessarily rank him as one of the greats, but yeah. Maybe a childhood great. Great child actor.
You know what? I'm sorry. Maybe the Fox.
It's at the 2-hour mark. I think Tom wants to wrap it up.
Yeah, I'll shut
I'm getting a little tired. So.
The only thing I'll say is I
don't believe you.
Thanks for having me on, Tom. It's good.
What were you going to say, Justin?
Fuck Halloween Ends. It ended the franchise for the 4th time, and it was a fucking wet fart again.
4th or 5th?
At least it ended. So
I guess it depends on a certain point of view.
I don't care.
We can only move on from here. We can only move on from here.
No, it's done. Fuck it. No,
I'm not saying with Halloween.
Don't try again.
Just saying, let's have hope for Friday the 13th.
Unless it's a big marketing scheme.
Keep hope alive.
It's a marketing scheme where they're going to be. It's going to be Halloween H60.
This sucks.
Yeah, it really sucks.
Thank you.
And with that,
I got 5 pieces of candy. I got a chocolate bar.